Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, John Nye, and Josh All.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs podcast. My name is Derek Frisbee from DF Sports, and today, you know what we're talking about. I don't really need to tell you. Sunday is the day. The Cleveland Browns kick off the NFL season, or I should say it's the kickoff of the NFL season for the Cleveland Browns. The season kicks off tomorrow. I'm recording this Wednesday, and I'm pumped. I cannot wait. I'm so excited that the season is here. And I know you're going to see a lot of previews. You're going to hear a lot of previews of this game. But what I want to do is take a little bit deeper of a look and kind of break down some key things and talk about what week one really comes out to for the Browns, how we can win this game, what the most important things are to win this game other than just playing good football. So before we do that, please be sure to check out the Dawgs podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Please be sure to like this video. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Are you excited for week one? I want to hear it. And if you want to get your voice heard on the show, thedawgspodcast.com is going to be your way to do that. Not only will you be able to leave a comment and we'll play it on the show, but you could get your very own intro if you wanted to. That is something that you could do. So please do that. And then join thedawgs.com. You're going to get an extra after hours show. That is the Patreon. Fantasy football has already started. But if you want somebody to talk to on game days, that is the place to do it. Join that Patreon. Get in that Patreon and find a community of Browns fans that you can talk about the game with. You don't want to miss that. And also become a member. 99 cents a month. That is going to be your way to show appreciation to us here at the Dawgs podcast. You get a lot of fancy stickers in the chat. It's just a way to know that you support the podcast. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. So, with that being said, the Cleveland Browns play football this Sunday, 1 p.m. in Cleveland. And before we get into the game itself, 73 degrees and overcast. Should be a beautiful day. I will be there. I cannot wait. So can't wait. I've been really excited about this for a long time, and it's finally here. So that makes me happy. But currently the line is -2.5 Cincy. So we'll see how much that changes over the course of the week, getting closer to Sunday, if it changes at all. There's a few key things to talk about here and how this game is going to be impacted Sunday. Denzel Ward is questionable with a concussion. And unfortunately, that is something that has plagued him throughout the course of his career in the NFL, and not just in the NFL, but at Ohio State as well. It's hard because he's a great player, but his tackling has just never been great. And it doesn't really make sense. I don't understand why he hasn't adjusted or changed. But here we are. Denzel Ward, questionable with concussion. Now, he's practicing Friday, which is really, really good news. He's expected to play. How much he will play is kind of the question mark here. So I want to talk about this real fast right off the bat, because if you're a Browns fan, you clearly know that the Bengals have a great wide receiver core, right? And the Browns historically have been probably the best team in the NFL defending against that wide receiver core. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd versus Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, and now Martin Emerson is the best corner wide receiver battle in the NFL, in my opinion. And, for the Browns, if Denzel Ward cannot play a significant amount of snaps, then you're really, really, really going to have to rely on Mike Ford, Cam Mitchell, or the new guy we just signed from the Chiefs. He has a really confusing name, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it. But you're really going to be relying heavily on one of those guys. Mike Ford, I think, is probably going to play the most just because he can play in that slot corner role. And then you could just have Newsome and Emerson on the outside if need be. But man, if Denzel Ward cannot play, where do these matchups go? Because for me, I want Emerson matched up with T. Higgins, just size-wise, it's the best. It's the best fit. And then, what do you do from there? Because Tyler Boyd is no scrub. And I think people and maybe Browns fans kind of overlook Tyler Boyd because of how good T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are. But Tyler Boyd is a really, really good NFL receiver. And my worry with this is that if Denzel Ward cannot play, you're going to have that weak spot. And that's how the Bengals win football games. If they are going to beat you, they're going to beat you with that wide receiver core. And they added Irv Smith, who I feel like is a very underrated tight end. I think he's going to be a great addition for the Bengals in that offense. So it's a tough matchup, and it always has been, and it always will be, because the way the Bengals are built is to move the ball through the air. Joe Mixon is good, yes, but they're going to make their money throwing the football. And for the Browns, again, the good thing is we have the best matchup for that, right? Our best skill set defensively, matches up with their best skill set offensively. Now, the problem becomes this. If you're a Bengals fan, they've kind of reworked their offensive line a little bit. Ohio, Caesars Sportsbook is kicking off the NFL season with a new bet $50, get $250 in bonus bets limited time offer. New users can sign up with our code DAWGSGET and redeem $250 in bonus bets after facing your first wager of $50 on any NFL game. Even if your first bet loses, you will receive one $50 bonus bet credit each week over the next 5 weeks. Make sure to enter our code DAWGSGET while signing up to have a bet on Caesars every week to start the season. That's code DAWGSGET. Offer is only available for new customers who are 21 and older and are physically present in Ohio. Please gamble responsibly. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you can qualify. Right? Orlando Brown Jr. comes in at left tackle. Jonah Williams will be moving to right tackle to play for this Week 1 game. And that's all well and good. Right? I still think the Bengals have not done nearly enough work on their offensive line to help Joe Burrow, but they're trying. And Joe Burrow is obviously still very much hurt, right? Looked like he tore his Achilles or ACL. Thank God he didn't. Ended up being just a strained calf, and he will play. But that injury is something that will linger. That is not something that's going to go away. And, maybe with adrenaline, it kind of, doesn't affect him as much. But if you are the Cleveland Browns and you're Jim Schwartz, you have got to test Joe Burrow. You've got to test that Bengals' new offensive line. I think that's the number one thing. For the Browns, if you're going to win this game, you have got to attack. You have to. It's not optional. And I think you have to do it right off the bat. I'm bringing everybody. I'm putting pressure. I'm putting pressure on the offensive line. I'm putting pressure on Joe Burrow. Because if Burrow is put in a position, especially early, where he does not feel good as far as where he's at physically enough to move around, create that time to make a play, the Browns have this game won right off the bat. Right? If that becomes a problem early on, then I think this game's a lock. But you have to be able to do it. And for the Browns, the good news is the improvements that have been made on that defensive line, I think this is going to happen. If I had to predict what was going to happen, I think the Browns are going to have a hell of a day as far as getting to the quarterback. The Bengals are 1-4 when they've allowed 4+ sacks. And the Browns in Week 8 last year sacked Joe Burrow 5 times. And since then, we have added Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, and a few others who can get the job done. And we've talked about it time after time after time. And now, most recently, with the addition of Shelby Harris, that's just another veteran pass rusher who is smart and knows what he's doing. And for the Bengals, this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare scenario week 1 because you're facing the best secondary to match up with what you do best, or one of the best secondaries. And now you went out and tried to rebuild this offensive line, and the Browns essentially doubled up and got just triple as nasty on that defensive line. That's terrible. I'd be terrified if I was Joe Burrow, because I'm telling you right now, just even the addition of Zadarius Smith alone is enough to pack up your bags, call it a day, because it's gonna be disgusting. And again, it's so important to get that pressure, because football is such a mentality game that if you can get in Joe Burrow's head, and he, Joe Cool, Joe Ice, whatever, I don't care. That doesn't matter, right? You can have ice in your veins all you want, but when you have 4 monsters staring at you from the other side of the offensive line and you are on a bum leg, that's not good. And there's really nothing that they're going to be able to do about it, in my opinion. That's why I feel like Denzel Ward is such a big part here, because if Denzel Ward's not there, somebody's going to get open. And that's kind of dangerous. So we'll see. I feel good about it. I think the defense is going to have a great day. I'm not really worried about Joe Mixon or the Bengals running the football. The improvements that have been made, as far as the Browns' run defense, I'm not concerned. But we'll see. This is going to be a very, very interesting game. And just another quick note here. Alex Wright is questionable. Not that he was going to be a big part of this game. But I feel like it's worth mentioning that he is still dealing with his injury. So let's switch gears here. Let's talk about the offensive side of the football.
This episode is sponsored by Omaha Steaks. Browns fans, we've been preaching Omaha Steaks for a long time now, and we're going to keep on doing it because football season is finally here, and it is time to grill out for your tailgates, your fall cookouts, all that great stuff. This is the best season of the year, the best time. Get kickoff ready to rock and roll with Omaha Steaks, and right now they've got their Steak Timber special going on. So head over to omahasteaks.com right now, type Dawgs, DAWGS into the search bar, and you will get 2 free New York strip steaks with your order. Get their Steak Timber special right now for just $129.99. It comes with 2 butcher's cut filet mignons, 2 butcher's cut top sirloins, 8 pure ground filet mignon burgers, 4 caramel apple tartlets, and of course the amazing Omaha steak seasoning. I'm actually about to order this right now as soon as I get done recording this ad. This stuff is the absolute best meat you can possibly order. We've got people in our Discord all the time saying, thank you for turning us on to Omaha Steaks. It's the best stuff ever. I mean, for the money, you can't get better meat than Omaha Steaks. So, like I said, head over to omahasteaks.com right now, enter promo code DAWGS into the search bar, and when you order their Steak Timber special, you will get 2 free New York strips with our code. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code DAWGS in the search bar.
It's weird because the Browns historically, obviously, have made their money running the football. And Nick Chubb needs to be involved, yes. But if you talk to anybody, they will tell you the weakness of the Cincinnati Bengals now is really in that secondary. They are very, very young. Chidobe Awuzie is coming off of a torn ACL that he got against the Cleveland Browns last year in Week 8. So where is he going to be at health-wise? The Bengals lost a lot. They lost Jesse Bates, right? And Dax Hill coming into year 2 now. Like that secondary is very, it's young, it's unproven, and it's very, I don't know. If I'm Kevin Stefanski, I think attacking that secondary needs to be a pivotal part of the game plan. I think getting Nick Chubb involved, yes, is obviously very important, but you have got to attack that secondary for a couple reasons. One of them being Deshaun Watson. I think for this game, and the first 2 weeks of the season are going to be so important for the Browns because you have the Cincinnati Bengals, obviously, here in Cleveland, and Battle of Ohio, right? Probably the toughest opponent in the AFC North. How are you going to come out and perform? This is not a cakewalk first game. You're going to be tested. And then week 2, you play the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think coming out 2-0 in the first 2 weeks would be huge. It would be absolutely massive if you are Kevin Stefanski, if you're Andrew Berry, as far as where this team is headed to this season. These first 2 weeks are going to be really critical as far as the mentality and just the psyche of this team and of this locker room. And that comes down to Deshaun Watson as well. For me, I think you got to attack the secondary because Deshaun Watson needs to have his confidence. And so far throughout the course of the preseason and camp, Deshaun Watson looks to be himself again, and he looks really good. But when you get in a real week 1 NFL season situation, right? How is Deshaun Watson going to answer that call? Because you can look great in the preseason, you can look confident in camp, but when it's time to roll, you got to be ready. And that's how I feel about this game. I think this is a perfect opportunity where you have a tough opponent, division opponent, you're at home, it's week 1, but at the same time, it's a good opportunity because you can attack that Bengals secondary. And I think you got to do it. I think you have to do it in a few ways too. And one of them is just make it simple. Make it simple to start off, right? I think get Elijah Moore involved early because the thing here with the Bengals, they're so used to what the Browns have done running the football that I think you have to incorporate some of these new threats early. If I was Kevin Stefanski, I would be moving Elijah Moore all over the place in that first drive. I'd be moving him out of the backfield. I'd be motioning him into the backfield. Just make it clear that you're not one-dimensional, that you don't just have to run the football. Because now, when Deshaun Watson was traded, it was like, oh my gosh, imagine what the Browns can do now with the read option with Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson. And obviously Kareem Hunt was here at that time. But now you throw in a guy with Elijah Moore who kind of the same thing. And I've talked about this. Elijah Moore is our Deebo Samuel, and that's great. But I want to see it. And I think the Browns have to establish that he is a threat. Because if you can establish early that he is a threat in this game, that will open things up to be able to hit an Amari Cooper deep, a DPJ deep, whoever you want to set up that big bomb later in the game. I think you have to establish your threats and establish what you have to work with. Because this offense is going to be so much different. It's going to be drastically different than what you've seen over the last few years. And I think that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it's just a matter of what is this game plan going to look like? What does Kevin Stefanski want to do? If it were me, personally, I'm coming out, I'm getting Deshaun some quick, easy throws, even if it is 4 yards, right? Just get in rhythm, get the completions, and show that you can move the ball multiple different ways now. Because the Browns have a lot of threats, and there's a lot of unknowns, and we don't really know what this is all going to look like. But again, if there is a game to build confidence and attack downfield, it is this game. So we'll see. It's weird because I feel good about Deshaun. I don't feel good about Stefanski, as funny as that is. I just feel like he's going to get stuck in his ways and not really want to attack deep. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. How much is Nick Chubb going to be involved is kind of a question that I'm really wondering, because the Cleveland Browns are going to run the football. We always are, always will. It's just a matter of how much. Like, you went out and you got all these threats and all these different tools to work with within the offense. And what are you going to do with them? How much do we see Nick Chubb used as a passing threat out of the backfield? How much of Jerome Ford are we going to see? These are kind of the questions that I'm not really entirely sure about, but I'm looking forward to seeing it because boy, oh boy, if the Browns find a way to use all their weapons, this could be a significant win for the Browns. So we'll see. Another big thing for me is just take the points, right? The Bengals are a team that can score quickly. All it takes is one misstep and Jamar Chase is burning it deep. So for Kevin Stefanski, he's been known to get a little risky. And with Cade York being cut, Dustin Hopkins coming in, which, how funny is that? I told y'all we are getting D-Hop, but no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, now that you have a veteran kicker who I feel like, I love Cade York. I still think he can be really good in the NFL, but the nerves and kind of the high pressure of it and that whole side of the mentality, as far as kicking, I think you don't have to really worry about that anymore. So if I'm Kevin Stefanski, take the points. Just take the points. Don't overthink it. So I feel like that might be an obvious thing to say, and I'm sorry if it is, but it's just a reality. We have passed up on multiple points, and we've left points on the board just because Stefanski doesn't feel confident in Cade York or whatever, right? It's just been very frustrating. So it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a really fun game. If you're a football fan and you love the sport, the receivers versus the secondary, it's going to be really fun to watch. How Jim Schwartz chooses to attack Joe Burrow is going to be really fun to watch. And, for Stefanski, again, you have all these new tools. Andrew Berry's gone out and, has brought in some weapons. And what are you going to do with them? How are you going to attack the Bengals defense and a Bengals secondary that I think is very vulnerable? So we'll see. But I'm most excited about the defense. I'm not going to lie. I think the defense is going to be the most fun part of the season this year. But Deshaun Watson could certainly take that. So we'll see. With that being said, I think that's everything for me. Yeah. So we're here. It's been a long off season, but it has gone quickly. I don't know about y'all, but I'm very happy that we have reached this point. So with that being said, again, thedawgspodcast.com, drop a voicemail, let us know what you think. Leave a comment on this video. I want to know what you're expecting from week 1. What do you think the Browns should do? How should we attack this Bengals offense? What should we do on offense ourselves? Again, my name is Derek Frisbee from DS Sports, and we will see you in the next one. Go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.